Good morning, everyone. I joined the Mass online at Knox Shrine today for the Feast of Saint Therese of Lisieux. And now I'm going to go on and do my John Maxwell, focusing on day 2. The leadership thought for today for the law of sacrifice is nothing is a sacrifice unless it costs you something. So when we focus on these teachings, this book is focused only on the scriptures. It's not focused on the business principles like some of the other books, but I'm going to take them and I'm going to bring in the business principles. So the first point that John Maxwell makes is that Moses was alone with God when he made his decisions, when he paid attention to what God was saying to him in his own life. And so too, as business leaders, you'll find that all of us, but particularly at the executive level, executives will make time for retreats. They'll make time for what they call white space in Canada. They'll put a block in their calendar, and that's white space. It's time for them to reflect, to think about what is happening in their business, in their personal lives, and what direction they want to take with regard to that. And we do that in our daily lives as Catholics. We have a time of reflection when we do our examen, when we examine our conscience, when we spend time reflecting on our day. We're doing that on a daily basis if we are doing the examen and the examination of conscience. And in our culture, you'll find that everything is so rushed. Everything is go, 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 go. People don't take that time to focus, to be alone with God, to find time for prayer, for solitude. And it's an important part of life, because otherwise we deplete ourselves and we get run down. It's the same thing as, say, when we have, part of my jobs in Canada has been cleaning when I'm an executive assistant. So making sure my desk area is clean, making sure that the space is tidy, it's got flowers, it's welcoming. And that's something that has always been a part of my role, a part of my job. It's something that I had the privilege when I was in South Africa that we had cleaners who worked for us at the residence, so I didn't have to do the cleaning. But even at home, when we didn't have maids, I used to do the washing of the clothes, I used to polish the floors, mop the floors. I used to take care of all of that because we didn't have the money to hire a maid, and sometimes the maids used to steal from us. That's why when I do cleaning jobs here, I always want to do them in an office because I don't want to go into people's homes. Sometimes people misplace things and then you get accused of stealing from them or using their visas or whatever. And I don't like that because I'm a very honest person, and I don't like when I've sacrificed being accused of something like that. But I was spoiled at Trinity House because we had Mama Loti and Mama Nono, and they used to do all the cleaning. They used to take out the garbage, and they always had a smile on their faces. And it was a time of privilege for me because I didn't have to do that myself. And we had the washing machines that we could use. We just had to make sure that we washed up our dishes and things after supper. But other than that, that small time of where I had that luxury of being spoiled, I didn't have anyone spoiling me in my life. I didn't have any privilege. I didn't have any kind of special treatment. So I treasured it. And, if I could get that lifestyle back, who wouldn't want it? I would also like to earn those top dollars and have somebody to come in and to clean my place. And we even did it with the maids. At least for me, I did it with them. I used to help our maid to do the folding of the clothes. I used to help with washing the windows at home. I used to take everything out of our showcases. We had display cases that my grandparents had bought where we used to keep our bone china, and my dad and mom had received some wedding glasses from Italy. So we used to keep all of that in there, and my grandparents used to collect porcelain. So they used to collect figurines, they used to collect shells, just different things, and we had a display case where we kept them, and at the bottom we had all our photo albums, because those days we never used to have photos on the phone. So I used to take care of that on a weekly basis. I used to clean everything, clean the tables, and I gave up my time because I liked to see things looking neat and clean. And Mama Loti and Mama Nono, they used to laugh when I used to tell them I can do my own. They say, no, they're paying us. We do it for you. You don't do anything here. You just enjoy your studies, and you're working anyway, so we don't want you to do that here. So it's tough when you have to do your own polishing your floors, cleaning, washing the clothes, and you have to wash them by hand in Zimbabwe. There's no washing machine and dryer like here. You have to wash it by hand and then put it outside on the line to dry, and then bring the clothes inside and iron them. So I used to do all that. So we have to also draw on those experiences and looking at how our lives are better today, because today God has, with innovation and through others' ideas and others creating things, we have the option of using washing machines. We have vacuum cleaners if we want to use them. So we have a lot of aids that can help us in our lives that we didn't have before. And then the second point is Moses was honest with God. When he was weak and he knew it, he would talk to God about that. And it's the same with us. When we get into positions where we don't feel qualified, where we are frightened, where we don't feel secure, we can talk to God about that, and we can express our concerns. We can't always do that in the workplace. We can't always do that in our churches. We have to gauge, we have to watch when to do it and when maybe it's better just not to say anything. And I'll give the example of TD Bank because I stayed their customer even after they let me go because they didn't have a position for me. Since 2007, I've been applying for jobs in the banks, for executive assistant jobs, and I haven't been selected for anything. And project management work and, all these things. But who knows, maybe things will change. But we have to be aware of, when is it going to be good to speak up and express our weaknesses, and when is it not going to go in our favor. There's so many cases now, including with my harassment case. Thankfully, I was not sexually assaulted, I was not sexually abused, but I've been attacked in South Africa, like many people who come from there. We've had burglaries, all kinds of things, and then you call the police, and the police say, oh, well, there's no evidence, so we can't do anything. And today, evidence disappears from cameras, files go missing. What's happening now at TD, they're being fined big money. So it boggles my mind how somebody like me can't get a job in the banks, but other people are getting jobs in the banks. But anyway, it's the same thing as what happened now with Harrods. Now people are coming forward. People like me, women like me, we don't like people touching us. We don't like you even to put your hand on us. Like, you keep your space, we keep ours. That's how we are. Don't lean over us, don't breathe on us. If you want to talk, stand in front of us or stand here by our side and speak to us. And we don't care if you're a man or a woman. It's the same. That's how we are from Zimbabwe. But sometimes when you bring these things forwards, when you express it, then they say, oh no, it's cultural. Or what about our culture? So we also have to judge. I see Pope Francis is encouraging people to speak out now against abuse, and if they've been abused, he's telling people to come forward. Well, that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. But as somebody who has gone through a process where I was harassed and everybody denied it, and I thank God I was not sexually assaulted, I can only imagine what the victims go through. And then after that, what you get, maybe they give you $500. They can't give you back what they took from you. Just like they can't give me back what they took from me, abusing me on those calls, shouting at me, masturbating on the phone. I mean, it was a loss of my innocence. It's such a sexualized culture in America. It really boggles my mind. It boggles my mind. Even all like the liberals putting their naked photos on the internet and all that. Who wants to see you naked? And you're representing our country. So, I don't know. People have to judge for themselves when to step up and when to step back. For me, I'm glad I spoke up. I'm glad I reported everything. Because now it's there. It's on the system. And it doesn't matter who denies it and who will stand by me. I know what happened. And yes, the money would have helped because I've been working in minimum wage since God knows when, but that was not the purpose. The purpose was that I wanted them to stop and to respect my rights and to respect that I said no, and there's no need to keep bringing this into every job I work in, causing disruption, hurting people, making it seem like I can't make my own decisions, that I'm like a child, and then I lose my jobs. And it's also the women in the banks. Oh, well, what's wrong with it? Why don't you want to be their friend? And I'm like, you know what? I don't come to work to be your friend. And if that's what you want, why do you impose your values on me? So we come from different cultures and different backgrounds. And I was very comfortable getting into the cars of our general managers at home and all the executive, because I knew they would never lay a hand on me. They used to come pick me up, drop me off. I'd go on long distance, traveled with them. I even used to come with some of the executives' friends from South Africa to Kwekwe in between my studies. I never worried about it. One time, one of the executives, the car broke down, and we were in the middle of nowhere. Thankfully, we found a hotel. And he said, Belinda, I'm so sorry. And there was no way to even call to tell people where we were. So we had to spend the night there, and then in the morning, we completed the journey. I never worried about him attacking me, sexually assaulting me. There was nothing like that because I worked for respectable people at Sable Chemicals, and they knew if they touched me, there would be all hell to pay. But unfortunately, it's not like that everywhere. So we have to be honest with God. We also have to ask for His direction. And all of us feel like that, like who am I to go and to represent these views, or who am I to go and talk to these people? But if God equips us and God helps us and He puts the right people around us, then we can do it. And then the third point is Moses was hungry for God. So some of us have a desire to spend time in prayer, to talk to God, to seek that peace that comes from walking on His path. And John Maxwell is just giving that example of how Moses had to turn to the side and to look at the burning bush. Sometimes we are so focused on where we want to go, we have to look at other options that are available to us. And so those are the main points that he's bringing out in here. And we all have fears. Moses also had fears. He feared his own value. He feared what God was going to do or say. He feared being overwhelmed by God. He had fears concerning others about how people would receive him. He had fears concerning his ability. But all of us are growing and learning, and all of us are on that same path. And hopefully we find people who come around us who can help us, who can nurture us, who can give us that safe space. But if we don't, we have to take it into prayer. And that's what I do. I take it into my prayer, because I know that in this culture, in the North American culture, people are very rude. And if you're not part of that, where you're swearing and shouting and cussing and you're showing cleavage, you're not going to fit in here. So you have to change and adapt in order to survive in this culture. Because with me, I never, and you can even ask my friends who know me from the time I grew up, I'm not one to go around swearing and cussing and doing all these things. I'm just not like that. And after what I went through on those calls in the call center, I'm like, this is too much. It really got to me. And you can see it even in my face. You can see how it took a toll on me. Because it's not, for me, it's not normal that people it's like the movies. You think, oh, it's just a movie. No, that's how people actually are. That's how Americans actually are. They swear all the time. They cuss all the time. They're rude. So you have to just learn to adjust. And I'm not thick-skinned, so it doesn't really help. But with the coaching, with developing, with learning about culture, I've adjusted. And I hope and pray that I get a job where I don't have to be on the phones, because I can't do it anymore. I have tinnitus now. I have ringing in my ears. My ears are painful. Even now, I haven't worked the whole summer, but my ears are still painful. So I have to get something that's more suitable where I can handle the job. So these are the main points of this book today. And so these are the trade-offs that we have to go through in life. If I had said, oh no, I'm willing to be an executive assistant, but don't ask me to do the cleaning, don't ask me to keep my desk clean, don't ask me to take out the garbage, I would not have gotten those jobs that I had. It was part of my duty. And here in Canada, it's part of the duties. You have to do it if you work in those positions. And everybody does it. So even some of the executives do it. They don't expect you to say, oh, okay, you do it and we're just going to sit here. So it's part of life here. Those days of Mama Nono and Mama Loti taking care of me, I would give anything to have those carefree days back. But I enjoyed them. It was nice to have them. And we have to look at what are the trade-offs and what sacrifices we're willing to make to have them, to get to where we need to be. And we all have to do it. It doesn't matter whether we're doing the cleaning jobs like I had, or whether we're doing the executive jobs. We all have to make sacrifices. And in order to make those sacrifices, you have to have something to give first. If I have no money in my bank account and I have all the education and all the skills, I can't sacrifice anything. So it's my life. And I can't sacrifice my life. My life is as important as everybody else's life. So if you desire to lead and you hope to find and fulfill the purpose which God created you for, then you must have something to give. So I can give my time, I can give my talents, but I also need to be filled. I need to have that income, I need to have those finances, I need to have those opportunities, and then I can also continue to help others. So the question for today is, what enables you to make the needed sacrifice for success? And that's the question that I've tried to answer in talking about my experiences and what I've done. And it's the question that other people can reflect on and other people can take into their organizations, into churches, into community. And please think of me if there's an opportunity that comes up for work, for speaking. And, I draw on my Zimbabwe experiences because people think when we come here from Zimbabwe that, oh yeah, they must have just been sitting pretty and they must have done nothing. They must have just exploited the black community or the people around them. But it wasn't the case. We grew up poor and we were the ones who were exploited sometimes. But we make progress and we move forward and we count our blessings. Today, if you have a place to live, a nice place to live, and you're close to transit, all the things I don't have, I made a decision to come to the city because I didn't have a car and it would be easier for me to get around. It doesn't mean I give up on those dreams of owning a car, owning a home, of being financially secure, but I have to also be reasonable. And so living in the city helps because then I can use the TTC. I'm close to transit. I can walk to get my groceries. All of those things, yes, you pay more for your rent, but if I was living in the suburbs, I would need a car to go get my groceries, to come home, or I'd have to add in extra commute time to get downtown to get to work. So these are the things that we sacrifice. And I've sacrificed my time to get my education. I've sacrificed my talents to go out to volunteer. I have sacrificed a lot and I've given up a lot. So I'm hoping that things will change for me. So that's the talk for today and I hope it helps you. But yes, I miss those days, my South Africa days. I miss earning a good salary and having all the benefits and perks and going out to nice restaurants to eat and all those things. But it is what it is. Who knows where God's going to open the next door?